Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alecia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. Hello! We are on episode 53 now.
You guys are stuck with
of
us
this
forever.
Podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we have officially made more episodes than there are weeks of the year. Right?
Yeah.
So we've been doing it for a year, but we've done more episodes than there are weeks of the year.
So it's
There's
official
52 weeks
now.
in a year.
If it wasn't before.
It's official. Yeah. Did you know that in Alaska, it is illegal to whisper in someone's ear if they are hunting for moose?
What? It's so random.
Who made this law?
I don't know.
No one knows.
That's so random. It's like episode 37 when you told us that it's illegal to say Arkansas.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it's just random enough to not make any sense, but make sense for the state that it's in.
Yes. Let me add to that by saying, this is a pretty well-known one. In Alabama, it is illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket.
Okay,
Who does that? I don't know.
That should be illegal everywhere. First of all,
I guess.
if you're not just gonna
I
eat
guess
it
so.
right away, you're probably a serial killer. So,
Yeah. If it's in your back pocket, I feel like it's there to lure someone. You know?
ew, I didn't
Who
think
are
of
you
it that way.
luring?
But like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
ugh, I'm
It's
upset
a
by
lot.
that. Now I really want ice cream also, so I'm upset for a different reason.
know.
But what the who does that?
At least don't whisper in people's ear while you're hunting moose, okay?
Yeah, but that just seems like a hunting hazard. Like, they're gonna miss shot and, like, hits, like, their hunting buddy because you chose to be an asshole in that moment. Like, it just
Yeah.
doesn't seem safe. Like, don't fuck with people that are holding a gun. But also,
Sounds
moose
right.
hide behind trees because they think that they are small enough to hide behind trees. Like, tiny little...
That's the saddest thing
Like,
I ever
it's
heard.
kind of the most wholesome thing ever.
Yeah. Tell me your
My
fun
fun
fact.
fact is about your hometown. It's not sad. Um...
What?
Yeah, well, not your hometown specifically, but Ohio.
Yeah.
So,
my home state.
yeah. So, Cleveland was once the country of the U.S.'s largest city. Data from the 1920s census indicates that Cleveland, Ohio was one of the most heavily populated cities in the country, behind only Detroit at the time. Philadelphia, Chicago, and New
Interesting.
York City as well. Today, these are the largest cities in the world, and Cleveland doesn't stand close anymore. But at one point, it was the second largest city in the U.S. as of the
Interesting.
1920s. So I thought that was kind of cool. It caught my eye because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, besties from Ohio. Your sangria looks so good, by the way. Tell the people what is in it. It matches your lipstick. Also, fun fact.
It is very good. So
I'm literally
found a
ordering
recipe.
Sierra's lipstick color as we speak.
I'm wearing Poison by ColourPop for those watching.
It's amazing.
It is. I love it. The sangria, I found a recipe. I was looking for a pineapple red. I don't know why. I'm in the mood for pineapple today.
It makes sense, though, too, because we haven't used pineapple for fruit in our
Yeah.
sangrias yet.
So I was looking up pineapple sangria recipes, and I found this one. The one that I found had like a shit ton of ingredients, and I was like, this is too much for us. We are very easygoing people. We need an easy recipe. And so I tweaked it. And this is literally just the red that we used last week, which is the hobnob, which is delicious. I filled it about halfway, and then the rest is cranberry juice. And then I put fresh pineapples in it, fresh oranges in it, and honey with a honey rim and sugar sprinkles. And the
should have known you ruined
honey...
your drink.
Yes. The honey, I think the original recipe called for, like, a whole bunch of sugar, too. And I was like, honey is sweet enough. And I said last week, this wine is really good, despite the fact that it's really dry. And I think with the honey added into it, it makes it just
it totally
sweet enough that it's not dry. Yeah. It's so good. Rating?
Yeah, I would say probably like an 8.5, 9. I really like it.
I gave the wine an 8.5. I like the sangria better, so I would say 9.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I really like it.
It is a really good one.
So today I am covering a cult case, and I am super, super excited about this one. But before we get into it, we need you all to hear the promo from our very good friends at Crime Diner, formerly known as Wine, Dine, and Storytime. They have revamped their image, and it's amazing, and you have to check out their promo.
Ooh, I've been dying to try this place.
Oh my god, me too. I've heard such good things about it.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. I'm Cindy. I'll be cooking for you this evening. Here are your menus.
Ooh, what are you thinking about getting?
I don't know, murder with a side of cannibalism? What about you?
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm torn between historical mayhem and the social injustice, maybe?
Oh.
I just want to let you know that each episode comes with dinner, dessert, and a specialty drink chosen by yours truly.
Wine, Dine, and Storytime has had a makeover, and we invite you to slide into the booth with us at the Crime Diner, where each week we will discuss a crime over dinner, drinks, and dessert. See you there!
All right. Definitely go check out Crime Diner / Wine Dine Storytime. If you haven't already, I'm sure some of you are already subscribed to them. We fucking love them. They've been on here. We've been on there. They're the best.
Yeah. Back in the day.
So,
back in July of 2021.
Yes. Yes, 2021. So, okay, here we go. This is my cult story.
I'm nervous.
So, this week I have to cover the group that is a real hot topic where I am right now. It has been around since the 80s and is right here in the suburb of Nashville. The leader of this group just recently died in a fatal accident a few months ago, so the hurt from her family is probably still pretty fresh. Also, the religious organization is still operating right down the road here. So I am going to try to be on my most respectful behavior. And I want to start the story by saying that everything I say is either alleged and based on the sources that we will have listed on the website, or my personal opinion. In my own personal opinion, just because the leader is deceased does not mean she's suddenly a great person. She has done and said some controversial things, in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about it as such. This is the story of the Way Down Workshop, aka the cult of Gwen Shamblin. Trigger warning. This episode contains talk of eating disorders and child abuse.
I triggered you, you triggered me.
I was just about to say that. I like how both of us triggered each other in the last
without even knowing for these two. Yeah.
And they weren't even like awful
just very
murder
like,
episodes.
Niche. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so weird.
Whoops.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry I didn't trigger warn you for sleep creeps.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You had no idea.
Hashtag
Sleep creeps. Oh, that's amazing.
That's too good. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Gwen Shamblin was born on February 18th, 1955, in Memphis, Tennessee, to a religious Christian family.
Oh God, it sounds like David Berg.
Right? Already.
Already.
There isn't much about her life as a child that is relevant to her controversial behavior as an adult, except that they were religious Christians. And so she grew up to be a religious Christian. In college, she studied nutrition and became a registered dietitian. Yes. Okay, so dietitian. Later, I have to say dietetics.
Oh.
And it, yeah.
Okay.
It weirds me out.
Never
Okay.
heard that word.
She became a registered, yes, she became a registered dietitian. This was something that she was passionate about, allegedly, because she had struggled with her own weight as a young adult in college. Don't we fucking all? As a dietitian, Gwen worked at Memphis State University for a while as a consultant, and also with the state health department for about 5 years. If she would have continued on at these locations, helping people with the science behind nutrition while continuing her education, then we probably wouldn't be talking about her today. Or maybe we'd even be talking about her in a good way. Unfortunately, that is not what happened. Instead, Gwen allegedly began thanking God for her weight loss. And she shared that sentiment with others who asked her how she was able to lose weight.
Oh no.
Before long, Gwen didn't just credit God for her weight loss, she was also teaching about God and weight loss. She was a full-fledged diet consultant, but her secret wasn't exercise or cutting carbs, it was just God.
Oh no.
45% of the world's population is trying to lose weight. So when Gwen Shamblin started telling people about her new quick fix weight loss technique, word spread like wildfire. Everyone wants to lose weight as quickly and as easily as possible. And Gwen's consultations seem to be the easiest diet that has ever been talked about. She claimed there were no calories to count, there was no exercise, there were no food restrictions, no weigh-ins. It was just all up to God.
No.
In 1986, Gwen Shamblin used her ideas and teachings to found her little diet consulting business known as the Way Down Workshop. Way as in W-E-I-G-H, way. Way Down.
Like whey protein?
She's
like,
like,
no, like
weight.
whey, like weight down. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, how much you weigh. Yeah. She started giving seminars in vacant mall store spaces about this. By 1990, Gwen's teachings were popular enough, or maybe just crazy enough, to get her invited to Bellevue Baptist Church to present her Way Down workshop as a class. The class was a 12-week seminar that people could sign up for and attend to learn how to lose weight as part of the Way Down diet. These seminars were recorded in the first few go-arounds, and then Gwen didn't even have to attend them anymore. She could just give the seminar by playing her video and audio tapes.
Always good when you pay for something to show up and it's like...
And they're not even there. It's
Yeah.
like, here she is on TV. like when you were in elementary school and they rolled in the huge cart that had like the giant TV and the VHS player, the VCR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good times. At Christmas, we watched Elf, guys.
Yeah. For me, it was always in science class, and we watched Bill Nye the Science Guy.
My hero.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill.
Tell me we're wrong, okay? Bill Nye is a hero, okay?
In 1994, word about the religious Way Down workshop had been spreading throughout the Christian communities and even made it to the news. Now, Gwen Shamblin was sharing her workshop with hundreds of churches in 35 different American states and in parts of Britain and Canada, and the craze continued to grow.
Please stay out of Canada. Thank you.
Yeah. By this time, Gwen had had 2 children, a son and a daughter, with her husband, David Shamblin. They moved to Brentwood, Tennessee, my backyard over here.
Did you say Brentwood?
And
like Brentwood?
Brentwood.
Oh, that's where
Yes,
I grew up in Victoria.
Brentwood.
It's Brentwood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brentwood is like right down the street. For me.
Weird. Oh,
Brentwood, Tennessee. Yep.
yeah, weird.
And she opened up a brick and mortar business site in Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh shit! I've
which
been
is-
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Franklin is where, I think that's where the Jonas Brothers concert was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's where Jessie works. For her 40 employees of the Way Down workshop, where they made new materials for seminars, such as PowerPoints and videos and books and music, blah, blah, blah. So, for those of you who don't know, I feel the need to tell you a little about this area. Franklin, Tennessee is a suburb of Nashville. Nashville is the largest city in the state of Tennessee, and Franklin is the 7th largest city in Tennessee. So like, the largest touches the 7th largest, so it makes up just this like giant area.
Yeah, that's a big hub of
Brentwood.
people.
Brentwood is much smaller in terms of population, but it's basically still the same city as Franklin. It's just like what you would think of as a neighborhood of Franklin. So they're the same place to me. I literally don't know where the line for Franklin ends and Brentwood begins when I drive through, which is actually not super often because it makes me feel like shit because I'm poor.
Just when you bring your husband Taco Bell.
Right. Also, because I'm poor, this is why I keep saying allegedly a lot, because I don't want my words to be misconstrued and for me to be sued. These people are real rich. Anyway, so
Help me, I'm poor.
the demographics for Brentwood are as follows. 84% of people are white, 7% are Asian, 1% are black. 98% speak English. 75% are married, male, female. And the average house... this part hurts my heart to even say. The average household income is $170,000 a year.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Like, don't you just want to cry?
I am crying from your reaction, and are you kidding me?
Average is $170,000 a year. That's
Oh
more
my
money than I'll probably
goddess.
ever see in my whole life.
Oh
in a
my
year.
god.
It's also a very religious city, surprisingly enough. 65% of Brentwood's population considers themselves to be religious,
Are they all
and
Karens?
only. Are you reading my mind? Only 0.8% of that is not Christian. So, these people are awesome. Like, if there was a place for Karens to congregate, this is it. This is where the Karens
This
congregate.
sounds like hell.
Yes.
If you are
By the way.
listening to this podcast from there and you're like, please get me out, just send the word pineapples to
Blink
our
twice.
DM and we will do what we can.
Before we get too far into this ridiculously crazy story, this is the part where I'm going to stick a little ad break. So, back to the story here. It is probably not surprising that Gwen Shamblin's business began booming in the town where Karens congregate.
Oh, so weird.
Not only was everyone there loving it, they were spreading the word for her. And by 1988, there were over 250,000 people worldwide who had attended the Way Down workshop, either in their church or in a friend's home, or by buying the audio and video themselves. Allegedly, the teaching of this diet, cut all that. Allegedly, the teachings of this diet were that if you are overweight, it is because you are eating too much, because you love food too much. The solution is that instead of loving food, you need to love God. Every time you think you want to eat, just pray to God instead. Gwen would say things like, just transfer your food addiction to God. Transfer your hunger to prayer. She was once questioned about how she was teaching people to just not eat. And her response, oh my God, this is crazy. Her response was, quote, when people were in prison camps and ate less food, they lost weight. All of them. End quote. She was literally comparing this
when
to
you
the
starve
fucking
yourself,
Holocaust.
you fucking lose weight.
Yep.
Okay?
So, anyway, this woman got real fucking rich off of these workshops, and she started to write books about it. And eventually, she also decided to open her own church called Remnant Fellowship. However, the church was not as successful as Gwen had hoped it would be in the beginning. She tried to entice her employees to attend her church, but many were not interested in leaving their own church. Allegedly, she had some lawsuits against her because she was giving employees an ultimatum. They needed to either join her church or else they'd be fired. After that, she also went public to all the Way Down Workshop followers and supporters, saying that there was a problem within the modern-day church. She would say things like, people need to start questioning their leadership to get to the bottom of the issues within Christianity. She claimed she was a prophet of God and she knew the truth. I don't know how or why this received so much attention. Many churches actually stopped carrying the Way Down workshop at their churches because of the controversial message she was spreading, but still somehow her brainwashing techniques and scare tactics were able to convince people to switch churches and follow her and her message. Allegedly. So, the message that was being taught by Gwen was, in more or less words, that the modern-day churches were going too easy on Christians. They were too graceful, she said. She claimed that God did not actually forgive your sins no matter what, and Jesus did not take responsibility for all sins to come. She said that Jesus was an example of what God expected of us. Complete obedience, and that you had to actually try to stop sinning to get to heaven. If you didn't, you would go to hell.
Oh, okay.
A little rough.
As we all do, I guess.
This is already pretty dangerous teachings, but just to get worse, people were also encouraged to bring friends and family to the church with them, recruiting them to join. Members were also warned that some people were too far gone and, basically controlled by the devil, and they might tell you to leave this church because they are controlled by the devil. Most of the people who joined the church actually joined online or from afar. Some people lived in the Nashville, Tennessee area, but many of the members were not there, and they just worshipped in their own home with their own families. They were also encouraged to come and visit Gwen in Brentwood, though, and even move here if possible. Some of the teachings inside the church included obedience in God to the extreme, teaching your children to obey by any means necessary, including cutting them off from everything if they're being disobedient, and spanking them. Gwen said, quote, "Parents need to know that spankings and traditional groundings are not against the law. I abide by the law. We don't leave marks." End quote. In order to not leave marks, they taught their church members to buy really long hot glue gun glue sticks and smack their children with them in runs of 10. So you hit them in the upper leg or butt 10 times with a glue stick and then give them a chance to do the right thing. If they're still being disobedient, you do it 10 more times.
What?
Another way they were taught to be obedient was to let the man lead the family. Man was your God on earth. The Way Down diet, telling you not to exercise, was allegedly partly related to the man needing to be stronger than the woman in the relationship.
Am I allowed to
Obviously.
leave the podcast at this point?
Obviously super problematic.
Yeah.
But also super ironic because Gwen was the quote-unquote prophet from God.
Of course she was.
And was the leader. And her husband, David, was never even seen at the church.
Oh, so weird.
David was slightly overweight. And so most people believe that she didn't want him seen by everyone in the congregation because then they would see that he was not following the teachings of God. Eventually, Gwen did get divorced, which was another weird and ironic situation. In the past, Gwen had preached about not getting a divorce because the man is your God on earth. She literally talked badly about women who were a part of the church who got divorces, and would talk, seriously, and would talk to other women one-on-one who expressed unhappiness in their marriage due to unfaithfulness and even abuse, and Gwen would tell them basically, get over it. It's not something that women can do.
Are you kidding?
But then, after she got divorced, she explained that sometimes the person you're married to isn't the one that God intended you to be with. And in that case, it would be okay to get a divorce. But don't let your greed keep you with the person that you're with. Give up all your possessions in the divorce to the man so you can go and be with the person you're supposed to be with.
Ugh.
She married her new husband, who many believe she was cheating on her previous husband with, just a few weeks after her divorce. Coincidence, huh? Sadly, as Gwen's children were becoming young adults, they were following her teachings. And you could tell. Her son Michael, who was the main music producer for the church, would fluctuate in weight very often and was allegedly part of a few girlfriend scandals where he would flirt with people just to get them to come to church. Gwen's daughter, who was born Michelle, but later changed her name to Elizabeth for unknown reasons. Do you remember when we watched Drop Dead Gorgeous and when you're here and there was that one girl in the wheelchair who had super thin hair
Bad
that was falling
bulimia,
out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what Gwen's daughter Elizabeth looks like now.
Oh my god.
It is the saddest fucking thing. It's really upsetting.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the three most concerning things, in my opinion, that this Remnant Fellowship Church cult is responsible for is not even anything that I've mentioned so far, but it's all related to children. First...
I don't like that.
Yeah. First is Gwen's husband. Like, period. He is a concerning thing. Let me explain why. Gwen married Joe Lara in 2018. Joe Lara is most well known for being the actor who played Tarzan on TV back in the 80s. After that, though, he didn't really do much of anything with his life. Eventually, he decided that he wanted to be a musician, and he started dating this woman who followed him around while he played at gigs, and then they had a child together. From the way the relationship was portrayed, Joe Lara didn't care a whole bunch about the kid because he was more focused on his music career, and he let the mother take care of the child. No big deal, the mom loves her daughter and would rather not share her daughter. But then, Joe Lara found Gwen Shamblin, a wealthy woman who lives in the suburbs of Music City, who was preaching about being skinny and letting the man be your god on earth. Joe Lara was a very in-shape man who was pretty broke and just trying to make it as a musician. So they were perfect for using each other, in my opinion. The problematic part comes in when Joe Lara decides that now that he's in a marriage with his prophet of God wife, he needed to be a family man and get his daughter back. He did this by any means necessary. He even admitted to lying about accusing his daughter's mom of sexually assaulting her in an effort to get full custody.
Oh my god.
The custody battle went on for a while and was in part the reason for the documentary that came out last year about the cult of Gwen Shamblin, which I will touch on in a little bit.
Oh no.
Yeah. Number two thing that makes me concerned about this cult is that children who are raised in this church are talked into getting married super young. Basically, as soon as they graduate high school, they're supposed to be marrying and allowing the man to take charge of the woman's life. A lot of people are recruited from the high schools in Brentwood. Like high schoolers go in and recruit other high schoolers. As high schoolers at the church, they are taught about what marriage should be like. The women were taught by women and the men were taught by men. According to a Reddit user from 4 years ago, there was one gathering of young women where Elizabeth, which is Gwen Shamblin's daughter, told the girls that in marriage, if your husband wants to have sex, you let him have sex with you, even if you don't want to.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I have
Reddit
feelings.
The same Reddit user said that the men were also taught that same night that as a man in the marriage, you tell your wife when you want to have sex and she will have sex with you. And even if she doesn't want to, she will. And some young men actually stood up in this gathering and was like, "Isn't that rape?"
Yes.
And the people teaching them were like, "No, sit down, shut up, listen to what I'm saying. God says this is okay."
No.
Yeah. So the last most concerning thing that the Remnant Fellowship Church cult scares me about
Cult.
is that they were actually raided by the FBI as part of a murder investigation.
No.
And now we spill the real tea.
I was gonna say, give me the tea.
Yeah. So, on October 8th, 2003, a 911 call was made to the Atlanta Police Department in the Sunday morning hours. The callers were Joseph and Sonia Smith, a husband and wife couple who had just finished praying with their Remnant Fellowship church family online. Joseph and Sonia had 3 children. Michael, which is spelled like Mykel, M-Y-K-E-L. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Michael or Michael. Anyway, Michael is about 11 years old. Joseph was 8 years old. And James was 2 years old. So there's a little Joseph who's 8 and a big Joseph who's the dad. Big Joseph and Sonia had been having issues with their middle son, little Joseph, for a while. Based on the stories of this kid, he clearly had some sort of behavioral disorder, whether he was born with it or they, put it onto him. I'm not really sure. But they talked about his frequent disobedience often enough. Little Joseph would curse at the parents a lot, and he sometimes even told them that he wanted to kill them.
Oh.
The
Okay.
parents were not the only ones who said that he did these things. Joseph and Sonia had traveled to Brentwood once to attend Remnant Fellowship Church in person. And there was a teenager who worked in the children's area who said that little Joseph was acting up a bit. But when his dad, Big Joseph, saw that he was acting up, he told the teen, the babysitter, that if little Joseph is acting up, just hit him really hard. And he said it with a balled up fist.
No, sir.
The teen obviously did not feel comfortable punishing the child in that way. But the church seemed to encourage the punishment.
No!
I told you earlier that they were telling people that they didn't leave marks because they used glue sticks. But even more than that, Gwen specifically preached about punishing children and scared families into wanting to hit their children. According to News Channel 5, Gwen once said on tape to her church members, "If they're not scared of a spanking, you haven't spanked them. If you haven't really spanked them, you don't love them. You love yourself. They have to feel pain, and they have to know that they are being disobedient."
No.
Also, there used to be a testimonial quote on Gwen Shamblin's website from a churchgoer that said, quote, "I was hesitant and sometimes refused to properly discipline my children because I didn't want to hurt them or have them hate me. But now I discipline my children in order to save their souls from hell rather than being concerned about their flesh." End quote. Yeah, it seems like Gwen Shamblin and the Remnant Fellowship Church were proud that they had talked people into hitting their children because who gives a shit about their fleshy life? They'll be saved by going to heaven if we fucking abuse them.
No.
So specifically in the case of Joseph and Sonia Smith, Gwen had recently spoken with Sonia about her disobedient child in a recorded women's conference call. Sonia called in to Gwen to give her own personal testimonial. Sonia said, quote, "I did exactly what the church told me to do. Take everything out of his room. We got everything out of there and locked him in there from Friday until Monday and only left him in the room with his Bible." End quote. This is the fucking 8-year-old they're talking about. And then she goes on to explain that she sees a positive difference in her son. And Gwen says back to her, Quote, "That's a miracle. You've got a child that's going from bizarre down to in control. So praise God. We are spoiling these kids. We are ruining their lives by even letting them think about themselves at all. So thank you, Sonia. Thank you for sharing that." End quote.
What? Ugh.
That conference call between Sonia and Gwen was just a few weeks before the Smiths had to make a 911 call. Back to this 911 call at the Smith house. Apparently, all through the online church service that Sonia and Big Joseph were trying to attend, little Joseph was acting up. His older brother attested to this. Little Joseph was cursing and screaming and saying that he was going to kill them all, starting with the 2-year-old James, and he kept trying to grab a hold of or hit little baby James. The parents, too busy with God to take care of their child, decided to stick little Joseph into a wood-lined chest. A fucking box.
Glorified
They call it
coffin.
a wood-lined chest. It's a fucking box. Until they were done praying and having services so that he wouldn't interrupt them.
Oh my God.
But Joseph kept popping his head up out of the box. So they tied it shut with an extension cord.
Oh.
Allegedly, Joseph continued on with his disobedience while he was inside of this box, yelling and screaming and cussing and threatening to slit their throats when he gets out. Reminder, this kid is fucking 8. So an 8-year-old does not say that he's going to slit someone's throat unless he knows what that means.
No.
So, like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah. Not a good look.
Yeah. Then, after about 10 minutes, little Joseph went silent. When they opened up the box, Joseph was warm, sweaty, and unconscious. Big Joseph carried him out to the garage to lay him on the cold, hard ground to try and let him cool down because he thought he had just worked up a fever in his tantrum. But little Joseph was not waking up, and the paramedics were called.
Oh my God.
When they finally arrived, Big Joseph said to them, "I'm going to be honest with you, he's a little bruised." And by this, Big Joseph was telling the paramedics that, yes, he did spank his children, but that it wasn't related to what was going on here. He was a good Christian man, and he wasn't an abusive father. Little Joseph was taken to the hospital, where he was declared dead. Here's the craziest thing to me. Big Joseph and Sonia really did seem like good Christian parents who were not abusing their children. I mean, they definitely fucking were abusing their children. That's obvious. But they were told that what they were doing was not abuse. This is just like we talked about in the pharmacist recap with the doctors having too much power. The parents were told by their leader, the person they worshipped, their God, the person who was speaking, Gwen, who God was speaking through. They were told that they were doing the right thing.
No.
If Gwen would have told them instead that they needed to take Joseph to a therapist or behavioral specialist, I think they would have done that and Joseph would still be alive today. But instead, they were basically told to beat the fear of God into their child.
Oh my God. This makes me feel sick.
Yeah. Another crazy thing is that their defense lawyers were able to get a specialist that said Joseph had actually died from a staph infection and septic shock because of eczema on his skin. And I actually kind of believe that might have been the thing that ended up killing him. But it doesn't matter because the parents were still abusive and caused all the other issues in and on his body.
either way, that kid was not in a situation that he should have been in.
Right. And if they hadn't been beating and abusing him, his body may have been able to better fight off the staph infection.
Exactly.
So, like, it's still an underlying
had
cause.
complications due to that and maybe been able to treat them based on that, but no.
Right.
I don't like it.
Gwen Shamblin and the church paid for the Smiths' attorneys and court fees. They stayed by their side through it all, saying that the Smiths were good people who they supported. They even owned both the websites The Smiths Are Innocent and The Smiths Are Guilty, which just redirected you back to The Smiths Are Innocent.
I was just gonna say,
so, like,
what's
if
the
you
point?
tried to Google The Smiths Are Guilty and then you click on it, it just sent you to The Smiths Are Innocent. However,
brilliant.
Yeah. Because of freedom of religion, and probably lots of money, and probably because the Smiths are black and the Shamblins are white, Gwen Shamblin and the Remnant Fellowship Church were not spoken of in court, and were not found to have any guilt in the death of little Joseph Smith. Big Joseph and Sonia Smith, however, are both serving life in prison plus 30 years each. So, this is the cult or church that is still running today. However, it is not being run by Gwen anymore, because on May 29th, 2021, Gwen Shamblin, her husband Joe Lara, her son-in-law Brandon Hanna, and 4 other church leaders were killed in a plane crash. Joe Lara was flying the small private plane from here in Nashville to Florida, where they were going to meet up with other church members. Shortly after the plane took off, it was flown straight down into Percy Priest Lake in Nashville.
Fuck.
Some people believe that there was a problem with the plane. Some people believe that there was a problem with the driver of the plane, whether it was Joe or Brandon. Like maybe the driver couldn't see because of the sun's glare, or the driver wasn't experienced enough. Both Brandon Hanna and Joe Lara had pilot's license, but neither of them had a license to operate that plane.
Gotcha. Okay.
Some people believe that everyone was killed on impact, and some people believe that Gwen Shamblin is living her rich life in a beach house somewhere. Medical examiners have stated that all bodies were found deceased, but with enough money, you can make any medical examiner say anything. Yeah, I'm not saying that I think she's alive, but I do know people here who knew her personally who think she's alive. So, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Either way, the icing on the cake is that the week before she died, she was giving a seminar about greed. And after her death, they found in her will that she left 0 of her millions of dollars to the church. Greedy fucking... I don't want to talk ill of the dead.
See you next Tuesday.
Also, there is a documentary about there is a documentary about Gwen Shamblin and this cult, quote unquote, on HBO Max, and it's called The Way Down. And again, her workshop was called The Way Down Workshop, WEIGH. This series is called The Way Down, WAY. And I don't know for sure, but it seems like a play on words referencing the way down to hell.
A little bit.
And I just wanted to point that out because I like puns. So
yeah,
she's way down now.
I would agree with that. What else is it referencing when you have 2 different spellings? We're just here to deliver the message.
I'm just saying what I've researched, okay? Go look at my sources if you're questioning this. Yeah, that is the Way Down Workshop and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin. right now, today, that church is still operating here in Brentwood. Elizabeth, the daughter, is the one operating that church. And it is depressing. Sadly, in my research of the Remnant Fellowship Church, I found that there are multiple other cult-like churches here in Tennessee, here in Brentwood, Tennessee.
No!
And it just, like, freaks me out. In case anyone was wondering why I want to move again suddenly. Yeah, that's that. Today is February 15th. And on this day in 2005, YouTube was first launched in America.
Oh, shit!
2005. Doesn't that, like, not seem that long ago? It's fucking crazy.
It doesn't. That's like
Yeah.
17 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
Weird.
that's so weird.
It is weird,
If you all have not checked
I
out
feel
our
old
YouTube
also.
channel yet.
but
Oh, yeah, for sure. If y'all have not checked out our YouTube video yet, you can do that by going to twistedanduncorked.com. Or you can just check in the show notes right here because there should be a link to our video for this episode if you want to check out my super awesome Poison ColourPop lipstick.
absolutely, and all of Alicia's horrified facial expressions to all of this.
Yes, there were many.
There were many.
Fun stuff.
We'll do our best to
Hope
update
you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
more information hopefully becomes available. That's usually how these things work, but we never know.
Exactly.
We will see you next week for a brand new episode, and in the meantime,
Keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can also check out all of our sources and materials, as well as photos for the episode, on our website at twistedanduncorked.com. And you can follow us on social media at Twisted and Uncorked or Twisted_pod on Twitter. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Cheers!